Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Eternal Flames. This is Blaze speaking, and we're actually doing ourselves a special for once. We're going to be doing a overview on TerraFirma craft, right? So, why the sudden overview? Why not do this to start with before we start up and all that? Well, truth is I actually want to do a review of this particular mod pack, but I'm not going to do that till the end, because nothing tells you a good review like actually having played through the mod pack in. Look at those beautiful mountains back there. You could even see them from here, and they're huge. Actual mountains in Minecraft. Now, let's get started before too long. I'm going to go over as much as I can as short as a possible as we can do. I still can't speak English. So first things first, we need to go over a couple of basics that are big differences. One of which is dirt. Dirt, cobblestone, you name it. So we got a nice little hill here, right? If we put down some dirt, we get pretty normal stuff. But if we put on the edge, it will fall. Now, the question you're asking is, well, what about the grass and stuff like that? Apparently grass will keep stuff in place, but not permanently. If you jump on it, similar to the crops in vanilla, it could break and you could find yourself in a very deep hole. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, what about cobblestone? Well, hate to tell you, boys and girls, but cobblestone's the same way. And if you're not careful, while you're mining, your mine shaft could actually collapse and you end up with cobblestone suddenly around your head. It's kind of dangerous, isn't it? But that's a reality of it. TerraFirma Craft loves to bring reality into this game. Now, let's move on to a couple other things real quick, okay? I've got some barrels here. Like, here's some lime water and all that. And if we check out each barrel, that one's sealed. I believe I have a potato with some water in there, so hopefully it's making vodka. Yeah, you can actually make alcohols in this. But if we say took an animal hide, let me just go into my thing here, and we'll just take a large rawhide, right? Big ammo, probably cow. We can hit seal, and what that's going to do is that's actually going to turn that rawhide into something we can actually use a little bit later on. So barrels are used for that kind of stuff. But then you get stuff like milk. Well, what do you do with milk on a barrel? Well, let's add some vinegar, curdled milk, seal. We'll come back to this later, and if we're lucky, that'll be cheese. That's right, that's how you get cheese. And then you've got salt water or water or, any number of things that you can put in these barrels. And just the same as you can put it in, if I click out, suddenly I can withdraw. So that's actually a thing. Okay, let's move on to something else. Here we got basic fire, fireplace, fire, campfire, whatever. You can add logs to it. Start with a fire starter. Fire starter is made with 2 sticks, literally going, side to side. So it can be made in your basic crafting menu. What about the campfire? Well, throw a couple sticks on the ground, right? And then, I guess I didn't throw no sticks down. You can even add paper to accelerate the process. And then I believe you right click, there we go, and get a new one. Let's go ahead and destroy that. Moving on. Foods tables! When you go to make your tools and stuff, eventually you're going to make a knife. You can see a knife right there, and I'll even show you guys a bit of napping here in a moment. But when you use a knife with a bowl in your inventory, you can mix different foods together to create meals, such as this one. Cooked pork chop, carrot, garlic, and green apple apparently make a horrible tasting meal in this. Here's the thing. From server to server, from world to world, from seed to seed, if you guys know what a Minecraft seed is, meals are going to be different. So while this is terrible in this particular version, and with another one, it could be amazing. So, just to keep you going on that one. Also, if you notice, foods have ounces now. By combining 2 of the same food, you can actually have one item that has a lot of ounces. What does this mean? Well, it means you can eat a lot of it all at the same time, which is really nice. Next over here, we got some pottery. Now, I'm not going to show you how to fire up the pottery. I'm not going to take too much time. But using clay, which, you know, I'm pretty sure I can show you that much at least, we can actually grab this clay right here, right click it, and now we can actually carve out and make something with clay. Now obviously that didn't make anything because, you know, that's life. I think I screwed that one up. Okay, I'm trying to remember recipes, so bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. Whatever, you guys get the idea. So basically that's how you make these right here, and when you fire them up, which if you guys want, I will put a link in a wiki below on how to do some of the stuff, you get these. Now if you notice, we've even got a cast there for a axe head. When you're doing copper or bronze, you can actually use the metals in these vases right here, which if I shift click, you can put metal in here, refire it, and actually do your stuff in there, which is rather nice. Okay, moving on. Storage. Storage is a lot different. Certain items are not going to fit in the storage, like logs. And if you notice, the chest has far less inventory. The chest is nowhere near as competent as it used to be, but still a whole lot better than, well, you saw that ceramic vessel. That held 4 slots. But then you've got these right here. These right here are tool racks. So you can put items on, take items off. This is for your bigger stuff. And if you got stuff like, say, logs and things like that, you can shift right click to toss it down on the ground. That's also how you put these ceramics down on the ground, is just a shift right click and boom. You also notice my logs change into these piles. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay. I'm trying not to rush, and I apologize if I rushed a little bit here, but I am trying to get through as much as possible to get you guys competent and ready to survive out here in TerraFirma Craft. So, next thing up is this thing. Well, what is it? This is a forge, okay? Now, a forge takes charcoal, or I don't think it takes coal. It takes charcoal and actually uses the charcoal to heat up metals and stuff like that. If you've already got one made, you just toss the charcoal in and use a fire starter. And boom. Now, the thing is it has to be made out of some sort of brick or stone or something like that to get going. And more or less, you need to have one layer below, okay? Specifically, just below where you put your charcoal. But then you also need this ring around it. This right here, being a bellow, will actually allow you to raise the temperature. Because if you notice, the temperature is kind of it's alright, right? But it's not hot. Certain metals are going to require more heat to actually work with. So we can do this by right clicking, and suddenly our temperature starts to skyrocket, which is exactly what we need. Just keep in mind, the more you work your bellows, the faster your fuel is going to go. So you're going to want to constantly keep an eye on this, and it's going to be time consuming. Be prepared for the long haul. Now, I built another one over here, but if you notice, this one's a bit different. We've actually got a chimney now. If you actually build it correctly, you can build a chimney that will actually focus it a little ways away from, like, say, rain and all that crap. If rain falls on these lovely, lovely forges, you're screwed. They lose heat very quickly. You're just wasting fuel, and whatever you're trying to heat up just ain't gonna heat up. Not only that, but no one likes a soggy pork chop. Those things are nasty. I personally prefer mine juicy, but not soggy. Pork chops. I'm gonna get one after this. Anyways, you also notice I have 2 bellows this time, and this thing. What is it? It's called a crucible. Crucibles are used for smelting down different ores in high quantities, such as your copper and your bismuth. The problem is while you can make bronze in this thing, and you can make it in large quantities, if you put bronze up here to try and mix it with more bronze, it's going to be known as an unknown alloy, and you're pretty much wasting metal. That's just a glitch with TerraFirma Craft that they never really fixed. So keep that in mind when mixing your metals. And just like with this one over here, you gotta somehow weasel your way, under the thing, put down some charcoal, and use a fire starter. pretty straightforward, pretty easy, and it's off to the races. Okay. And if you notice, now the crucible is even lighting up, which is really cool. Now, a couple of you are probably going, okay, you showed us how to make this as far as the build, but how do you actually make that? Here's what you do. Let me actually grab my charcoal here. We've got kind of a brick flooring right here, but let's just use this for the time being. Oh, I forgot I'm using stone. It's funny because it's not. Okay, so now that we've got this, I can break this point, we won't get our stone back. Take a bit of charcoal, drop it in there until it fills up, and then right click with the fire starter. And boom! We suddenly have a forge in the middle of nowhere. Now, you guys saw what I did with the cobblestone, so obviously building this out of cobblestone, especially with a chimney, might not work in your favor. You have been warned. But you could actually take some of the boulders that will appear randomly in the world. Let me see if we can spot one real quick. I don't see one right off the bat. You could actually find a boulder and dig out a boulder if you're willing to with a pickaxe and make one from start. But if you notice, once your stuff is gone, or once your basic idea is gone of what the forge is, you instantly lose that little pit in the center. So, okay. Forges, done. Bellows, done. Recipes, wiki. Moving on. What the hell are these? Okay. I kind of did these out of order and I apologize for that. This is a blast furnace. This is a bloomery. What the hell is the difference between them? Well, this is gonna be kind of interesting because the bloomery actually is how you're going to smelt iron. Yeah, you heard me, iron. Just like before with the forge, we're gonna fill that one up until it's a full black piece of charcoal, and then somehow or some way you have to get on top of your forge and toss in your iron ore. Now, if you notice, suddenly that thing started filling up. That's gotta be higher than that one block, right? Well, if we toss in this charcoal, it's gonna fill up even more, and boom. We have now filled up our bloomery. What do? Well, we come down here, we close it up, light it up, and boom. That's still the weirdest fucking sound ever. I think they were trying to do a rooster sound and kind of failed. Bad. Anyways, the bloomery is now running. What's the bloomery do? Well, like I said, it smelts down iron. It's going to make an iron bloom. Iron blooms are actually how you make wrought iron. Wrought iron is more or less really crappy iron that's workable into stuff, but it's not the greatest. Yeah, there's kind of a problem with that. I actually had some friends who would play this and they would completely skip the bloomery and move on to this bad boy. This is a blast furnace. Now you guys are going, well, what the hell could that be made out of that's got this black lining? Well, here's the thing. It's made out of this stuff, which is called fire brick. And to make matters even more interesting, apparently you have to cover... There's an Enderman up there. Are you down there? No, he took off. Huh, whatever. Anyways, Enderman showed up to my showcase. You're not, you guys stick around! Bastard. Anyways, the bloomery, in order to work, actually has to have these plates put down, and the chimney has to be built exactly like this. Except for, you don't actually need the plates on the top and bottom, but I felt we did everything else, right? Might as well. It has to be made out of wrought iron or better. Better being steel, blue steel, red steel, that stuff. Which, yeah, steel or wrought iron or better, shit, you're talking some expensive materials here. Not to mention these fire bricks, they're not cheap either. But once you do finally get this thing up and running, similar story. You get your charcoal going, you get your ore going, and you also get flux going. Yeah, you heard me. Flux. Now, what is flux? Flux is actually a type of welding material used in smithing. If you played World of Warcraft or anything like that, you probably end up using something called weak flux and all that, and you're like, oh, well, it's just part of the recipe. It's actually meant as a binding agent to keep metal together. So, yeah. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and toss our charcoal in there. We're going to take our flux and toss that in there. And I happen to have some brown iron here, so we're going to toss that in there. And whatever doesn't get used up, we get back, you know. But you want to keep an equal amount of raw iron to charcoal, if not more charcoal. Okay, that is important. Equal amounts or more charcoal than ore. If you do less charcoal than ore and the ore exceeds how much charcoal is in there, the temperatures are going to cool down and it's going to be harder to get your steel. Anyways, let's right click this with the fire starter. Look at that. That thing lit up real bright. Holy crap. Okay, well, let's take a look at it. And if you notice, our ore is higher than our charcoal. That's actually kind of bad. So we're going to actually have to work these bellows. And after we work the bellows so far, once the iron reaches a certain point, it's going to melt down, go through the blast furnace, and down into the crucible. Now, the more people you have working, the better it's going to be, because more bellows equals more air power. So, feel free to pump it up. We're just going to leave that do its thing. Honestly, I want to do this as quickly as possible so that you guys can get the most you can out of it. So, moving on, we've got armor stands. So if we actually had, say, a helmet, right? Let's just grab a red steel helmet. Yeah! This obviously isn't going to fit in a chest, but we can toss over the top of that. And not the greatest model ever, but hey, you can see in it. Even does kind of an outline to show that, yeah, there's something there. So, yeah. There's a red iron, or red steel. Next up, we have anvils. Now here's the funny part. If I actually took this hammer, right, and right-clicked on one of these stone blocks, it'd actually become a temporary anvil. You heard me, a temporary anvil. However, I just went ahead and showed you guys I believe this is a rose bronze anvil. Now, here's an important piece. As you work, you're going to end up making sheets and stuff like that, as well as you're going to need hammers and flux. Obviously, you can see I have no skill in this because this is a fresh world just for the spotlight. I went ahead and selected a plan. This plan is for a helm, and the way this works is we're going to have to build this thing pretty much twice for a helmet, but the idea is more of these things right here. With a hammer right here, a piece of flux right here, and your workable metal right here, providing your metal is hot enough, which it's not, what you need to do is line up this little green arrow with this little red arrow. The more greens you hit, the more to the right it's going to go. The more reds you hit, the more, well, to the left it's going to go. But these are your final conditions, and these have to be followed. The third one has to be bend. The second one has to be bend, which is this right here, so it's going to go right twice at least. And then the last one has to be a hit. Now, if you notice, there are 3 different kinds of hits. Which hit is this hit? Any of the 3. That's right. Use your basic idea and knowledge to kind of figure it out and time yourself. The closer together the green and the red are, the better chance you have of getting a good helmet. What's even cooler is the higher your skill level, the more off you can be and still get a perfect helmet. However, let's say you're off by, like, say, a chunk. Like, you hit the just barely in this range. The helm might already take some damage. And that's just the thing. Anyways, let's go ahead and take our hammer. And I want to show you guys something important. Obviously, bronze on bronze, workable, right? Here we got some black steel. If we, even with the hammer here and even selecting a plan, there's nothing here. Why? Well, the anvil's just not good enough. So just something to keep in mind, that your anvil and your material have to match up to some degree. Which anvils and which materials line up? Go check it out in the wiki. It's down below. But, once again, once they line up, we got black steel, plans for a helmet, or boots. We can do boots too. Which, you know, different requirements. Bend, and shrink. So it's going to be shrink, heavy green, followed by 2 bins, which is still pretty heavy green. So, there we go. I'm going to steal this hammer once more because I don't feel like, dragging on another one. Finally, we're going to go up to the chisel. Now, the mod pack I'm using obviously has a map, as you can see over in the corner. So you might want to switch your keys around because what this is if you hit the M key, it's going to switch the mode of a chisel. Now, what does a chisel do? Well, chisel does 2 things. First off, if you put a chisel on a crafting table with a piece of rock, you're going to get a brick. And you can use these bricks to make, well, brick blocks. I mean, I'm not joking. It is these brick blocks right here, which is kind of cool, right? However, if you have a hammer in hand, the mode is actually going to change drastically what it does. The first mode is smooth. Boom. Smooth. Now this thing is smoothed out. If we dig this up, it is not going to turn into stones like this would. So yeah, breaking regular stone with a pickaxe, instead of getting cobblestone, you get regular stones and you put stones together and make cobblestone. It's pretty simple. However, let's change this around a bit. Let's go ahead and change a couple of these, right? If we hit M again, stairs. Pretty simple. Right click and stairs. You have to have a hammer in your inventory to do this. If you just have a chisel, it's not going to work. Hit M again, slabs. And depending on what face you click, like I'm clicking the top face, you cut a chunk out. If I click this face, cuts a chunk out there, and you can actually whittle stuff down and make it your own. The last mode is a tricky one, and this could cause lag on some servers. So fair warning, use this one at your own expense. 1 or 2 isn't going to hurt you, but a lot of them, well, expect your server to kind of trip balls and say, screw you. But if we right click this, notice there's a bunch of little squares that we can click now. Every time I click on one of these little squares, it's going to take a chunk out. With this, we can actually sculpt how we want things to look. So, just, kind of following my own little thing here. And boom. We get a little bit of something there, and we'll poke out. And we got a Space Invader thing. Whatever. Okay, so we've gone over quite a bit, but I haven't mentioned how you make charcoal. Obviously, to make these things, you need charcoal and not coal, right? So, how do we make charcoal? Let me go ahead and set the time bet today. Okay, there we go. God, that creepy ass chicken moose thing. I need to go find it and kill it. Anyways. So, the next thing we need to do is actually kind of interesting and kind of hard. You're gonna have to really think your way through this one, and yeah, I'm not saying that to be mean, I'm saying that to be honest. This is essentially what we gotta do. If you notice, I got some wood in here, and I got one thing of dirt. But, inside here, there is actually a bunch of logs. I have actually filled this to the brim with logs, and any log will do, and it doesn't have to be brick. You can actually do this with dirt. If you dig out an area, you're good to go. But essentially, this is a 5x5 area. So if 3x3 would be right here, we dig one more loop around, right? And do it like this. So, leaving the center empty, you're going to put your wood around like this. And I'm literally just doing this on the outside so you guys can see. And then once you've got that first double ring right here on top, you can do like this. Now, granted, there are bigger, better versions of the charcoal pit that you can make. Bigger versions are going to be a lot harder to fill, and yeah, you actually have to fill these things up. If you don't fill up the bottom row, you actually can't stack logs on the top. So you're going to have at least, at very least, 8 full stacks right off the bat. A 9th one for up here on top, because the last thing you're going to need to do is actually cover this bad boy. And I'm literally about to do that. So, yeah, the door is going to shut out oxygen, because that's what you're trying to do, is you're trying to kill the airflow going in there, right? Now, obviously, put a bit of dirt, because, you know, I want to be able to get back in there later. And then, from the top here, actually, I should check this out. I should actually grab a chisel and hammer real quick and show you guys a trick. This way you guys don't get completely screwed over. Let's see. Mode. Stairs. Because I'm awesome. Okay. Standing on the stair. We want to throw our sticks down. Fire starter. Cover this up. And you're going to notice it's about to catch fire. Okay? When it catches fire, you know that you've done it right. Or if you see the smoke particles. We obviously see smoke. Oh, there it goes. It's on fire. Put dirt on top. The smoke particles are still there. We've actually done our job. So many hours later, it looks like we literally just don't have enough time. Because it's, I believe, 8 hours in game, if I'm not mistaken. So if you do it in the morning, you'll actually have it by the evening. This is actually going to cook all that wood down. And once it cooks all the wood down, we'll basically open up the top here, or the front here, dig out that little bit of dirt, go in, and you can dig out your charcoal with a shovel. And yeah, similar to what we've got over there, you're actually going to take your charcoal, right, and you're going to have to dig it up with a shovel off the ground. So, if I just, yeah, there we go, charcoal. It's going to look a lot like this inside there. And depending on how many logs you actually put in there, you're going to have at least 9, you're going to have at least 9 full blocks of charcoal, hopefully, to dig out once you're done. And then a bunch of small blocks if you decide not to fill that thing to the brim. Recommended, fill it to the brim. So, we've covered a lot. We've covered so very much. What could possibly be added in? I almost forgot. The food. Now, obviously, we talked about meals, but we didn't talk about food and water. You guys want to know changes to regular Minecraft? We might as well do it right, Johnny. So, let's grab our foodstuffs. We're going to grab some cooked mutton, just real quick, and, ooh, whiskey, vodka, sake. They added sake! Yes! Yes! We're drinking till midnight! Anyways. Excuse me. Anyways, let me grab a wire jug too, because, yeah, this is about to get interesting. Game mode, survival, and, wow, it just drained my hunger entirely. That wasn't fair. Okay, apparently that's glitched. Whatever. Anyways, so if you notice, I have a food bar and a water bar. No, yours should not drain like that, I don't think. You should be fine. That was because I was in creative mode. However, there is a food and water bar. The water bar obviously has to be filled with water. You can do this by standing in fresh water or drinking from a jug like that. However, I want you guys to keep in mind that you'll remember we had salt water in this barrel. Oceans are salty. You will get dehydrated. The ocean is not your best place. However, squid are your best friend for starving anyone. So, feel free to go out there, catch yourself some calamari, fire it up in your little fireplace, put it on your table, make yourself a meal, and off we go. Okay. Whew. Did you get all that? Barrels filled with crap. Fireplace. Foodstuffs. Beginning tools are made a different kind of way. I think the only thing we didn't go over was... Hey, I'm sideways. Oh, we didn't go over napping. That's what we didn't go over. So let's do that real quick. We'll wrap this thing up, and hopefully you guys will be able to survive and thrive in TerraFirma Craft. So, we got 2 rocks. You will need at least 2 because we're about to do what cavemans did. We're going to do napping. That doesn't mean you're falling asleep. Wake your ass up right now. Napping is when you take 2 rocks and you clunk them together. Once you clunk them together, you notice now I've only got 1 rock and I got this weird UI. If I click out pieces, right, we want to make it look like what we want, like an axe head. There we go. But if you notice, we only got the axe head, right? Well, all tools need handles, so we're going to need sticks. Well, thankfully, there's a big old forest over there. There's got to be at least a stick laying around, right? I mean, there's all this other crap laying on the ground. Well, kind of. Hey look, leaves. Hey look, I'm going through the leaves. Hey look, I've fallen into the leaves. Leaves have no weight. And I can punch the leaves, and I get a stick. Which, I'm about to take all you hardcore Minecrafters who play vanilla Minecraft and blow your mind. We got some wood. I'm punching, and I'm punching, and I'm punching, and I'm punching, and nothing's happening, and that's because you can't punch wood! Sucks to be you. Yeah. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and take that stick, put the axe head on, stone axe, and I'm axing, and I'm chopping, and I'm chopping, and it's breaking. You have to use tools. What's that mean for pickaxes? Well, there's no stone pickaxes. I mean, that'd be retarded, right? So, instead, wait, where'd my wood go? Seriously, where'd did it steal my wood? Oh, that's no bueno. Let me try this one again. And I'm chopping, and give me my log. Oh, I saw it pop up that time. There we go. And there's my log. Now, to get... Oh, for some reason it all gathered over here. That's weird. Whatever. To make you're gonna need to make planks, which you're gonna need a saw, which has to be made out of bronze because there's no stone saws, and yeah. There's still plenty to go over, guys. I want to go over everything. I really can't. Not only do I just not have the time, but I don't want to waste your guys' time. I want you guys to get out there and learn how to do this stuff. And frankly, I know you guys can. Wow, it's gonna be a long trip, right guys? And there's plenty to do. Monsters are gonna be harder, your health works a little bit different. I could go over every single little change, but I think we've gone over the basics that will hopefully allow you to get through to, well, not want to say the end, but at least as close to as possible. This has been Blaze. This is me tweaking out in TerraFirma Craft. Excuse me while I go have a seizure over there in those cliffsides. Take care. Stay safe. Just remember. Later, everybody. I'm going to die. I'm going. Oh, wait, that's a bad thing. Let me in.